Namaste, and welcome to Vichaar Manthan's 2020 review. My name is Arun, and today I'm joined by Raj Shekharji, who is the UK coordinator of VM's activities for 2021. We'll be representing the wider VM team in this special event, where we'll be reflecting on all of the activities and ideas which we have presented over the last year in light of VM's wider journey. Now, those of you who have been avidly following our activities may be familiar with the idea that Vichaar Manthan is a public discussion platform exploring ideas to solve issues facing British society. What makes us unique and what is central to VM is that we are exploring ideas through a Hindu lens. VM spends the majority of its time applying the prominent Hindu concept called Dharma in the context of some pertinent discussion topic. But we don't often get an opportunity to explain what exactly we mean by Dharma.
Namaste. Vichaar Manthan tries to explore contemporary British issues through a Hindu civilizational lens, which is one of the oldest civilization and a thriving civilization in our world. Even after centuries of invasions and colonization, the civilization sustained and rejuvenated itself. We believe that there are some fundamental values which helped it to be sustained, and the core among them is Dharma. The word Dharma does not have a single English translation. The closest translation would be that which sustains human beings and the life on this planet. The very principles of the very principles that govern the lives on this planet is Dharma. So Dharma encourages the pursuit of well-being and the human flourishing. Dharma is also Satya, truth, absolute truth. Dharma is articulated in many ways today. These include duty, religion, and righteousness. But it is not simply this. Dharma is a concept, is a way of life. We can say an idea is likely to be dharmic if it satisfies few core principles. If the idea is this idea beneficial to all? Does the idea nullifies or minimizes harm? Does the idea invoke the qualities of love and compassion? The better we understand Dharma, which is an underlying principle of nature, we can apply this to our lives and enable society to flourish. Dharma has two aspects, external and internal. The external is prosperity of the society, happiness, flourishing of society, benefits and provides security to everyone, while the internal reflects on the true liberation, freedom from internal conflict, allowing hearts and minds to be free. With this backdrop, VM explores contemporary issues and shines a Dharmic lens to find a sustainable solution. Interested? To learn more about Dharma, check out the first episode of our VM podcast and subscribe for upcoming episodes where we explore application of Dharma in our daily lives.
Vichaar Manthan focuses on interacting with expert witnesses to discuss ideas in the context of Dharma. Many people wonder what happens to these ideas after a Manthan takes place. Is it all just intelligent conversation and no action? The reality is that VM isn't intended to operate in isolation, but it's one component of a wider effort to identify and implement sustainable or dharmic ideas in society. Therefore, to understand Vichaar Manthan and what role it plays, we must understand how ideas at the fundamental level are implemented in a society. This process is multifactorial, but we've tried to simplify it somewhat into this ecosystem of ideas. To explain this, let's work backwards. For any idea to manifest and to be taken up by society at large, it requires policy change to take place at the state level. It also requires uptake from the public to enable the democratic success of that policy. However, before it reaches the point where policy is formed, it requires significant thought, and it requires experts who understand the field to influence this thinking. These experts we refer to as leading lights. For these leading lights to dedicate their time to the curation of these ideas, they require two things. The first is an environment where they are free to explore these ideas and where they can easily network with other leading lights who are also thinking in the context of Dharma and sustainability. This is where think tanks become important. The second is that they require funding for their time, which may be obtained in part from the government, but it will also require significant backing from private foundations. While many of these leading lights will also be connected to research institutions or universities garnering their own sources of funding, the infrastructure for them to be able to focus on sustainable or dharmic ideas is essential. So now let's go one step further. Where do these ideas originate? An idea is a response to some problem in society, some issue which is being faced and needs some resolution. Good ideas take time and require as many viewpoints as possible to ensure that the idea is beneficial to society on the long term. And most importantly, these ideas must be subjected to scrutiny. This is where Vichaar Manthan comes in. VM brings together key problems in society and experts who understand these problems very well. These discussions are intended to enable ideas to manifest through manthaning. And it is VM's role to bring out those sustainable or dharmic ideas and bring them first and foremost to the public. Vichaar Manthan is the sandbox where all of this happens first. Therefore, VM sits under the category of public discussion platforms in this wider ecosystem diagram. Thus, VM's role is to connect these leading lights with society and help turn these ideas in the context of Dharma. In the very near future, we will see other aspects of this ecosystem also come to fruition.
In 2020 for VM started much like it started for everyone else. Nobody envisaged that we would be dealing with a global pandemic. Words like lockdown, social distancing, and Zoom were not regular in anybody's vocabulary. Vichaar Manthan has grown exponentially in 2020. If you are new to VM, there are a few things that you might not know about Vichaar Manthan. The first, that we have 3 chapters across the country: Manchester, Leicester, and London. Each of these chapters organize in-depth discussions and intimate firesides, bringing thought leaders, unique ideas, and sustainable perspectives to you every fortnight. Secondly, since the conception of Vichaar Manthan, these events or churning of ideas always took place in person. In the last 12 months, we have adapted to bring these churnings online and to your home.
From March onwards, all Vichaar Manthan activities moved online, adjusting to the pandemic just like everyone else. However, there were significant advantages and disadvantages of this for VM. Firstly, it had a vast effect on our karyakarta. When we say karyakarta, we're referring to our volunteers who actively contribute time and hold a responsibility within VM. Something that isn't quite obvious from the outside is that a significant amount of time goes into increasing capability within the team. This people first and development first environment is a key factor in VM's success. One example of this is that 13 different VM Karyakarta were first time chairs for live events this year. Now, chairing a Manthan or fireside is quite challenging because it's the chair's role to bring out the best from our expert witnesses and to align the conversation in the context of Dharma. Doing so requires several practices: dry runs, tech checks, internal Manthaning, backup chairs, regular meetings, and the list goes on. So, therefore, when confronted with challenges like moving Manthans online, the VM team had a really positive attitude towards this because it provided more opportunities to learn and develop. Not only did the Karyakarta team grow as individuals, but the team also expanded to include people who are not necessarily living local to a specific chapter. Because of this, we now have 36 Karyakarta working for VM. While we are talking about contributions from our Karyakarta, one of the reasons why VM has been so successful this year is because we have had one active Vistarak working for VM during the course of the year. Many people will be actually completely unaware, as he's been working virtually throughout the pandemic. But Raj Shekharji is VM's very first Vistarak. A Vistarak is a Karyakarta who has given up their job and regular day-to-day life to dedicate full-time voluntary work for Vichaar Manthan. Vistaraks motivate the wider team by their sheer dedication and as a result catalyze the efforts of the entire organization. The other big change in response to the pandemic was that VM was no longer limited by borders in being able to attract speakers. And thus we began to see more speakers from overseas. With them, brought a greater overseas audience as well. Because of that newfound capacity, this paved the way for VMSN 2020. But I'll let Raj Shekharji tell you the story of how that actually unfolded.
2020 saw our inaugural conference, Vichaar Manthan Sustainable Narratives, or VMSN for short. This was an idea that had been well and truly manthaned within the team over the last 9 years. With over 50 events and network of well over 100 thought leaders, we were ready to try and tackle the biggest questions facing our global society today. As with any great endeavor, ideas can only come to be with passion, people, and deep pockets. We had the first two, but we were needed the latter. So then came COVID. We were in the midst of the first national lockdown, and on one day, over a call, we were discussing how can we engage our Samaj or members in these turbulent times and give them something more than our regular manthans. While the COVID lockdown was a challenge, it also opened up an amazing opportunity for VM. With everything going virtual, this enabled us to overcome the financial barrier that was stopping us from conducting a conference. The lockdown also ensured the availability of world-renowned experts to partake in our manthans. We decided to call this conference Sustainable Narratives. Why narratives? Well, narratives shape how we experience ourselves and the world in which we live in. These narratives affect our behaviors as an individual and also as a collective society. Therefore, exploring the most prevalent narratives of our time in the context of sustainability or Dharma was our aim. By sustainability, we at Vichaar Manthan mean those ideas bring us closer to the truth. We know that not all the narratives are perfect. However, some can bring us closer to the reality than others. Therefore, exploring these narratives and how they hold up to how they hold up under the scrutiny of sustainability is imperative. To quote Sachinji's words from the opening of the conference, narratives must be reasonable. They must stand up against scrutiny and reason. Narratives must be explored freely, without restriction or fear of being attacked. Narratives must be enduring, that is, time tested. Narratives must enhance individual flourishing. From inception to execution, our team of volunteers worked tirelessly, giving hundreds of hours after work, every weekend, and often into the early hours of the mornings, working remotely, sometimes with the people they haven't ever met before. The global team worked to bring to life this idea as well as overcoming themselves to bring out the very best in each other. Over 25 speakers, 5 panel discussions, 8 firesides across 3 days. All of this planned and delivered within 8 weeks. Our biggest success lies within our people. Each individual is better for the experience and has a larger capacity and ability to respond as an active Karyakarta.
Let's delve into the numbers for a moment. We can see from our VMSN registrations map that VM finally went global in its reach this year. This included just under 1,000 registered attendees for the conference. But because of VMSN, we saw 2 big changes in regular VM chapter activities as well. Alongside the fact that VM chapters were much better prepared to carry out online activities, this was also the first introduction of fireside discussions. Now, while our VMs are big panel discussions on highly specific issues, a fireside is a more relaxed, one-on-one conversation with one expert witness to develop a better understanding of a specific field. During VMSN, the key problems in society were categorized into major verticals. Thus, many of our regular Manthans and firesides are now loosely aligned to these major verticals when conducting the thinking and framing of the topics. These 5 verticals are based on the areas where there is great need of Dharmic ideas to help solve the greatest challenges facing humanity today. These verticals include governance, religion and ethics, wealth, culture and literature, and civics and education. While VMSN began to Manthan many ideas within these verticals, there is still a huge amount to unravel in the years to come. If you missed VMSN, check out all of the videos on our website. There is a link to that in the description below. If you don't have the time to sit through the entire conference, however, the VM team has been hard at work making highlight reels with key ideas presented from each Manthan. For those of you who are there, here is a whistle-stop tour of VMSN 2020.
Even multipolarity as we understand in the sense that many states emerging
I think a democracy will have to be something that respects the liberal principles
and has changed enormously over many centuries.
Some may criticize us for not having a good book for guidance.
Here is a belief, thou shalt believe it, and then you are part of us.
What changed
was that there was an explosion of innovation.
Then on the political and social side, what makes Indian growth or wealth creation sustainable is that India is a democracy.
It's exactly that. Why aren't you using your balance sheets to give a greater number of people a share?
You know, as you said, moral relativism, cultural relativism, you know, not having any point on
this
which...
was around 1997. And there was this one girl in the audience who looked very...
And there is no system which is absolutely evil and bad and nothing can be learned from it. That's not the...
it could be illegal and very often devolves to a legal entitlement, which is something that...
There was an embedded concept of recognizing and appreciating...
or untethered period where people feel increasingly unhooked from tradition, a sense of
case. Like I should be able to walk and chew gum at the same time. I should be able to pursue social justice.
Just to sort the stories by anger into different types. And this was a key moment for us.
Killing people. On the other hand, you look at Canada, for example. Canada has a higher per capita gun.
Nihilistic trap. And then you run into problems that to
loyalty to the Constitution and to the idea of the nation that the Constitution embodies.
That doesn't mean, Abhilasha, that you need to be Mother Teresa. And some people even criticize her. So there you go.
Whether it's his message of just saying, hey, yeah, this really sucks. Because on certain levels, you can say that
the piety of their children, so too, there are powerful ideas that exist within the community.
VMSN was a catalyst for Vichaar Manthan's regular chapter work and attracted many new people to come and contribute to VM. However, it also sped up the regular activities of VM, bringing more content to the screens than ever before. VM has been running for over 9 years now. Every year, we have seen increasing number of events which we are hosting. This year, we had a variety of events were included. One of it is the new format of firesides. And also, Vichaar Manthan started collaborating with National Hindu Student Forum UK and conducting some of the topics which are impacting the British students on campus. In total, this year, in 2020, we conducted around 33 Manthans in total. Also, we are extremely proud to report that we have over 40,000 views on VM's content on YouTube alone from 61 different countries worldwide.
While moving Manthans online enabled more discussions to take place, it enabled VMSN to happen and brought some of the best speakers to VM from around the world. The biggest disadvantage was that we were no longer able to interact as easily with our members and our well-wishers. We highly appreciated those who engaged in the YouTube live chat, as these parallel Manthans during the discussions were our only indication on how the members were engaging with the content. Furthermore, we had several individuals email us with their thoughts and feedback after the Manthans that they connected with the most. We appreciate and encourage any feedback that you may have. If you would like to informally provide feedback on our Manthans, you can email us anytime on feedback@vichaarmanthan.org. However, while we're on the subject, we'd also like to conduct a more formal feedback process to help guide our activities moving forward. Today, we'll be launching our VM 2020 feedback survey. Here, you'll have an opportunity to give your thoughts on the various events that took place throughout 2020, and also provide feedback on VM overall, including what sorts of topics you'd like to hear about in the future. You can click the link below to access the survey now. However, this will also be sent out to all members via email. If you're not already a member of Vichaar Manthan, you can do two things right now. First, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel by clicking the bell icon below. This will alert you anytime there is a live event happening. Secondly, you can subscribe to our mailing list by clicking the link below. This will ensure that you get the updates on our activities as early as possible, but it will also link you to some of the other things going on within VM, besides from our live events.
There is too much content for us to review the content of each Manthan and Fireside, but we encourage you to go back and watch any videos that you missed. Here is a whistle tour of all our Manthans and Firesides that took place to refresh your memory.
Or at least the ethos of it has been practiced for far longer than that. In fact,
individuals and groups. So I help people to improve their health.
Like Dina, and for me, just being vegan, I'm just for the animals. But here, I'm actually as a health
Current in
professional.
Western philosophy is expressed in certain forms of spirituality, including my own.
But it was sort of a very dark episode of my life. It wasn't, I realized immediately that this is
from a philosophical perspective, because that's my philosophy is my area.
Inhibits for their children's security for food and various things. So
whenever you have a problem, and if we think of the only problem level to solve it, we can never solve the problem.
From a personal perspective, I've seen quite a bit of COVID on the shop floor.
Maker of drones and autonomous vehicles, robotics, myself.
That co-crafted in Roman engineers, that Europe would have a similar relationship between engineering and healthcare.
Trade school, as they are called in the UK.
Character formation and spiritual insight. And with these,
when we use our taxes to invest in the next generation, we should do this on the basis of shared value.
Tonight I'm going to talk about my main area of research, which is expert leadership.
Worse. Very, very male-dominated teams in that place. So
I'll talk about leadership. Now, leadership can be demonstrated in various
conversations we had were around the individual family environment and interacting and agreeing.
When you split an atom, the parts together
in complete kind of control of not only the mind, but all the action.
We're talking about 40% of the energy usage. And if it's about carbon emissions.
And from 6 a.m., that's when the sun is now coming out in Trinidad. So it's a great time.
Years, cadres of apparatchiks and political commissars.
Difficult project. The way that human beings learn is not by passive indoctrination.
They manifested us. They have given the form to us.
You want to consume this good because it will you will complete.
Even non-technological ways of surveillance, physical surveillance was an important method that governments use. So, for example,
ideas, no? Even the concept of, like, let's say, freedom, democracy.
VM is expanding beyond Manthans and Firesides. Those of you that have already heard will know that I'm referring to the VM podcast. Now, although the soft launch of the VM podcast already took place in the first week of January this year, the official launch of the podcast will take place as another YouTube premiere event in 2 weeks' time, Saturday the 6th of March at 7 p.m. Please join us then to hear more details about this exciting new venture. If you can't wait till then, click the link below to our website with links for the first few episodes. For those that are unaware, we have 5 book clubs running up and down the country, which meet on a weekly basis on different days of the week to read books which present key ideas from a range of different authors. Some of the books that have been read this year include fiction novels like 1984 by George Orwell, and non-fiction compilations like The Righteous Mind by Jonathan Haidt. The Manchester Book Club even had an additional initiative where they were reading the Bhagavad Gita commentary by Nicholas Sutton, and they had the opportunity to invite the author to actually join in on those discussions. What's unique about these sessions is that you don't have to do any reading in advance. We read together aloud during the session. Therefore, anyone is free to just attend. While book clubs are currently running online, we hope to see physical book clubs resume later this year. When this happens, Chai, of course, will be mandatory. Secondly, we'll spend a good portion of time during the sessions discussing the content as we go along. This includes challenging the author's viewpoints, exploring ideas in the context of Dharma, and most importantly, discussing these ideas in the context of our own lives. Book clubs are the real gem of Vichaar Manthan, and where some of the best manthans are taking place. We encourage as many people as possible to join VM's book clubs. The only thing that we ask is that you bring an open mind. We hope to see the number of book clubs double by 2022. Anyone can sign up via the Join Book Club link on the website, which is also in the link below. If you would like to contribute to VM activities, then we encourage you to first engage with our book clubs.
Earlier, we talked about how Vichaar Manthan is not only the entity involved in formation of an idea. As such, we are happy to announce that in 2021, we'll see the launch of our first spin-out organization, which will fill the place of a private foundation called the Earth Foundation. This will support people and institutions to learn, live, and share sustainable ideas to build a better world. The foundation supports pioneering research, innovative institutes, and influential organizations which are dedicated to tackling some of the hardest challenges facing humanity. None of the activities we carry out in Vichaar Manthan would be possible without our members who actively follow and partake in our manthans and the financial support of our well-wishers. Firstly, an update on our membership. Our members are those who are following Vichaar Manthan's journey by subscribing to our mailing list and opting to receive regular updates. A true manthan requires as many viewpoints as possible from across the society. This allows best possible ideas to emerge under the highest level of scrutiny. For this to happen, we need more viewpoints, and we can only have more viewpoints by increasing reach and membership. Vichaar Manthan has over 5,000 members. We hope to see the numbers double over the next year.
Our well-wishers are those individuals who provide regular contributions to Vichaar Manthan in order to support our work. We have just over 50 active well-wishers across the UK who are contributing an average of just under £4 a month. In addition to this, we also have received several one-off contributions. We first and foremost wish to express our gratitude for all of the support which has been given by our well-wishers, without whom any of these activities would not be possible. We should also acknowledge that a good portion of these contributions are being made by individuals who are also contributing their time as VM Karyakarta. We appreciate that many people have busy lives who may not be able to contribute their time. However, we hope today we've been able to demonstrate what VM is achieving and what we're working towards. Therefore, we would encourage as many people as possible to become part of VM's journey by becoming well-wishers. While one-off donations help to purchase necessary items like video equipment, regular, sustainable funding enables us to plan our growth for the future. While none of the Karyakarta in Vichaar Manthan are paid for their time, there are significant costs to maintain the infrastructure of VM to enable content to reach our members smoothly. This includes web server costs, communication channels, mail management, audio and visual equipment, Zoom accounts, the list goes on. Moving Manthans online averted the steep cost of venue hire this year, but as a result, this enabled Karyakarta to focus more on content and delivery, and also improving the online viewer experience, which was always an afterthought. Therefore, when we do resume Manthans in a live setting, we wish to purchase the necessary video equipment to maintain that online viewing quality, but in a live setting. Furthermore, we hope to see at least 2 more Vistaraks contribute their time in 2021 and 2022. Although Vistaraks are not paid for their time, financial contributions do enable more Vistaraks to be sustained at the same time, further catalyzing VM's wider efforts. These Vistaraks will be involved in kickstarting 3 projected new VM chapters in Birmingham, Edinburgh, and Oxford. In order to maintain our growth as we have done over the last few years, we would require approximately 200 well-wishers contributing around £5 a month. Therefore, 150 new well-wishers to achieve our targets. Infrastructure and growth aside, Vichaar Manthan remains committed to keeping VM's events open access so that we can continue to freely share the best ideas to improve humanity. The financial contributions we receive ensure that we can first and foremost do exactly that.
Time to wrap up our VM 2020 review. We had an incredible year in 2020, but 2021 has already kicked off and is looking strong so far. Our next event explores a topical issue related to the changes in farming laws in India. While we normally focus on the issues facing British society, this topic has been taken up a great debate in UK and at significant request. We have decided to interrogate the issue in the only way we know how. Therefore, join us next week on Sunday, 28th of February at 3 p.m. for the next VM. India's farming laws. What do we really know?